Okay, everybody. Now the time has come. I've been waiting for this movie for quite a while, and it's really because I've wanted to know how Michael B. Jordan was going to do with the Creed franchise. And yeah, that's the movie we're talking about today, Creed 3. For me, it was the rotten stepchild of the franchise, but in a good way. I hope that makes sense, and I hope by the time that you're done watching this, that it'll make sense to you as to why I say that. So that being said, let's get into it. This is gonna be good. Let's get into it. Here we go. Okay, Creed 3. First, I want to start off with saying that I almost became a victim of what I preach all the time, and that's leave your expectations at the door when you're going to go see movies. And the reason why I almost fell victim is because I love the Rocky franchise. And I know this is a Creed thing, but it still falls underneath the Rocky lore, right? I grew up with Rocky. I'm 36 years old. The first time I saw a Rocky film was Rocky 4. I believe I was like probably 7 years old. And that movie came out even before I could even get into a theater, I believe. And so for me, leaving my expectations at the door meant I'd had to forget about that tone, that love, that the character Sylvester Stallone had brought from Rocky over to the Creed franchise. And I did it anyways. I went in and with an open mind. I had my reservations at the very beginning. I have to say, I was very scared to see this movie because a lot of the times when a character plays a role and then they step into the director's role, they kind of take and it's not saying that they shouldn't do this. They kind of take all of their thoughts and they put it on paper, not necessarily reflecting or taking taking notes or cues from what has already been said before. And I was fearful of that. I thought they were going to change the tone. I thought they were going to change the music. I thought they were going to change a lot of the stuff that made the Creed franchise amazing, in my opinion. And I thought they were going to just kind of throw that out the window. And in some parts, yes, they did, but that's not bad. The way that Michael B. Jordan handled it, I thought was amazing. I believe is his first directorial debut, and I thought it was amazing. For the first time in a Creed movie, we have 3 now. I actually felt that this was Creed 1, and let me explain. The first 2 Creed movies, yes, they're taking the name, Creed from Apollo Creed from the Rocky franchise and bringing it over into a modern day take, right? But that's exactly what we got in Creed 1, right? So it still had its I guess flaws, not in a bad way, but it still had its cues from the Rocky franchise from the late 70s, all that good stuff. But then in Rocky 2, you're fighting one of Rocky's demons, right? You're not. It's not really Creed, fighting his own, I guess, adversary. In Rocky 1 and 2, it was Apollo Creed versus Rocky. Rocky 3, he had Clubber Lang. Rocky 4, he had Ivan Drago. These big brutes, these big guys. And we don't speak about Rocky 5, but Tommy Gunn. But at the same time, it still kind of felt that Creed, Adonis Creed, was under the umbrella of Rocky. And for the first time, in my opinion, we saw a Creed movie. And that's what I mean by this is the ugly stepchild, or I don't even know how the phrase goes, but, of the franchise. Because, yes, while it doesn't exactly kind of fit within the Creed franchise that, goes back to, the Rocky days, it's still its own movie. And I think he did it really well. I was really surprised. I just got out of the theater, and one of the things that I said to myself was, damn, this could be a standalone by itself. There were some things that I did not like about it, and I'm talking about they're little tiny things. Nothing that's gonna take away from the story, but let's get into those things that I didn't necessarily like about it. One of the things that I didn't like about it was the music, and not the music, the entire score for the movie. I thought that in Creed 1 and 2, they have this kind of what I call like a Sylvester Stallone Rocky theme song, right? Bum 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 bum, right? They have that. I felt that they kind of established Adonis Creed's kind of theme song by you know, kind of like that. And they didn't play it. And I'm sorry if this is going to be a spoiler, but they played it at the very, very end, and it was just for only a couple of seconds. And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't music be a great way to kind of tie this franchise together? And that's one of the things that I didn't like. Another spoiler, sticking with the music, they put the Rocky song at the very end of the fight when he wins. And again, I said spoilers, so I'm sorry. But they put that in there, and it kind of felt off. And the reason why I feel like it felt off was because nowhere, again, spoiler, nowhere in this film is there ever a mention of Rocky. I think there's one, but I'm talking about like in depth. Like, they don't even establish where he's at. They don't even establish what he's doing, or if he's alive or is he dead, or, you know, they don't establish anything. And at the end, you just kind of like get this like little trill of Rocky. It's kind of like, what? So those two things about the music was kind of like weird to me. Other than that, you know, I gotta say, there was not much I wasn't, you know, upset about. The movie was great. The script was pretty decent. I will say I felt it was a little bit rushed in certain scenes, but I think it's because they spent a lot of time kind of establishing that relationship between Damian, played by Johnathan Majors. God dang, this guy's gonna have a great year in cinema, maybe a great couple of years in cinema. This guy's good. Yeah, he's super good, great actor. But yeah, they really kind of dive in, and that's one thing that I did like about this movie. In the first Creed movie, they kind of touched on the fact that, you know, he was in like a foster care kind of situation. Kind of, I think it was like man, it's been a while since I've seen the Creed one, but I think he's a bastard child kind of. I know that's kind of a bad term, so I just don't know how to phrase that. So pardon me on that. But they never really kind of, like, especially in Creed 2, they never really kind of go back to that, and that's what I kind of liked about this Creed, is that Michael B. Jordan was, you know, not smart enough, but creative enough to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to take this back to Adonis Creed's roots. Maybe the story, there's a lot more there that we can tell, that there's a story that needs to be told. And the fact that they did go there, and the fact that, like, it was a bigger transition going from fighting Ivan Drago's son to fighting somebody from his past. You know, it's not on the same kind of grand level of fight, but it was still done really, really well. I was kind of, you know, honestly, my honest reaction, again, here we go. This is all unscripted. I'm just talking straight to you. This movie, it was amazing. I think with all of the directors that came into the Creed movies have done an exceptional job. And this all started with Ryan Coogler, who now directs, everybody knows him as the guy that directs the Black Panther movies. And that was another reason why I was a little bit scared, because he loved all the Rocky franchises, and you can and you could tell that he did it by pouring his love into Creed 1. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that had the kind of idea of what Creed 1 could be, and it kind of skyrocketed from there. And I was just scared that maybe Michael B. Jordan didn't have that love for the franchise, and that he was just gonna kind of just do his own thing, which he did, and again, it was great. but he also did pay, you know, tribute to a lot of the things that made Creed in here. There were subtle things, but if you really paid attention to it, you could really tell. Yeah, it was great, guys. It was really good. I think that like what they've done with all of the Rockies, and Creed 1, 2, and 3, they're all linked, and they, as story wise, they just fit. I'm super excited to see if there's gonna be a Creed 4. For those of you that have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I hope. And if there's not a Creed 4, I can definitely see this being the last one. I will say that. I kind of hope they don't make a Creed 4, but I kind of want to see, because of the way it ended, you know, I don't want to spoil too much, but because of the way it ended, I kind of want to see where is it going to go. And I think in part 2, the way it ended with you know, Rocky giving Adonis Creed a fist bump and saying, "It's your time now." And the camera kind of just pans behind him, and while he's sitting in the chair at his corner and just looking at the ring, you know, it kind of like lets you know, like, hey, the Rocky days are over. These are Creed days. And for the first Creed, in my opinion, movie outside, well, I mean, it is the first one, but I think this is like the first official Creed movie that we're getting. Anyways, but for the first time, doing it without Rocky or Sylvester Stallone, I know there's like a lot of drama that had happened between Erwin Winkler and Sylvester Stallone about rights and stuff like that. I think that's why he didn't. I suspect that's why. I don't want to say. I think that's why he didn't come back. But I think that for its standalone, Creed 3 was amazing. I wanted to cheer, not necessarily cry, but yeah, it was good. So I hope everybody goes to see this movie, and please, I know, so, and here's the other thing. I know people are not gonna like this movie. I already know, because I was scrolling through TikTok and people are saying that like this Creed falls flat just because it doesn't have like the Stallone aspect and all that stuff. But again, you gotta go in without those kind of expectations, because you're gonna soil your experience. I almost soiled it for myself. And when I left like I said, when I left the theater, I was just shocked about how great this movie was. And I hope people are able to see that this isn't a Rocky film. This isn't a Sylvester Stallone film. This is a Creed movie. This is a Michael B. Jordan movie. So a lot of the creative changes that went on are because of that, right? Like, how do you tell a Creed movie without saying Rocky, right? Or saying Sylvester Stallone? This movie did it. Michael B. Jordan kicked it out of the park with this one, in my opinion. Again, just my honest opinion, honest reaction. But yeah, this was good. Go check it out. I implore everybody, go check it out. And if you didn't, like I said, I was trying to say earlier, if you didn't like it, let me know in the comments. I'm kind of curious, because my words are not, you know, end all be all or anything like that. It's just an honest reaction. I don't want to review movies and say, oh, this sucks. No, this is just my honest opinion. This is just how I feel. We all have opinions. It's cool. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's going to do it for me. This one kind of ran a little bit long because I love this franchise and I love Rocky. I cry all the time when I see Rocky. I don't know why. But yeah, no, it was great. Go see it, guys. Go see it. Go see Creed 3. That's pretty much it. Bing, bing. And that was lame. Anyways, go spread that love, guys. All right, take it easy. Have a good one. And I hope you guys like this video. Later, guys.